Hey guys, in this video we are going to talk about the problems of code drift day 1. The topics are binary trees and tries. So let's get started. The first problem is BST sum. The problem description states that the cost of an array ARR is the sum of all the values in the left subtree of the binary search tree formed by inserting the elements of ARR in the order they appear in it. Find the sum of the cost of all the permutations of length A. Since the answer can be large, we need to return it modulo 10 raised to power 9 plus 7. A permutation of length n is an array consisting of n distinct integers from 1 to n in arbitrary order. The problem constraints are n can vary from 1 to 10 raised to power 5. Now let us discuss the problem with an example. Now let us look at this example. We are given a as 3. That means we have an array of length 3 which have elements from 1 to 3, right? So all the elements are 1, 2 and 3. Now the permutations we can make out of these 3 elements are this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. These are all the valid permutations we can make. Okay. Now we need to create binary search trees out of all these permutations. So let's do that now. So the first binary search tree will be, first we have 1 as the element, then we'll insert 1 here, then we'll have 2. For 2 we know 2 is greater than 1, so it will come to the right of 1. Then for 3 we know that 3 is greater than 2, so it will go like this. From 1 3 is greater than 1, so it will be on right of 1. From 2 it is greater than 2, so it will be on right of 2. So 3 will be here. Okay. Now let's talk about second binary search tree. In second binary search tree we have 1 3 2. So first we need to insert 1. After that 3 is greater than 1, so 3 will come on right. Then after that we can see that we have element 2 as the last element, so we need to insert 2 here. Now from 1 I know that 2 is greater than 1, so it must be on the right of 1. Okay. From 3 I know that 2 is less than 3, so it must be on left side of 3, so 2 should be here. So in that way we can create binary search trees. For the third one it will look like 2 1 3. Similarly in this fashion we can create all these 6 binary search trees. Now the answer to our problem is sum of all the values on the left subtree of each and every binary search tree, right? So the left subtree of first binary search tree, it has nothing on the left, right? So we don't have to add anything to the answer from this subtree. Now again for second one we don't have anything on the left, so we don't have to add anything here again. Now for third binary search tree we can see that we have one value here, so we need to add 1 to the answer. Let's say our answer variable is stored here and currently it is 1 because of this, right? After that fourth binary search tree have 1 in its left subtree, so I am going to add 1 here as well, so the value will become 2 here. Now for the fifth binary search tree I can see that we have 3 on the left subtree, 2 and 1, that is 3, right? Similarly here as well I can see that we have 3 on the left subtree, so I need to add 6 to the answer, so our total answer will be 8. So that is our final answer in this case. Now let us talk about the solution to this problem. Let's say we are given any binary search tree which is rooted at some integer a, right? Now all the values which are less than a should be on the left subtree of this a. Okay, let's say all those values are x, so all these values should be less than a, right? Similarly what will have on the right subtree, all the values which are greater than a, right? Now from this observation the conclusion that we can draw out is that all the values which are less than a should be present on the left subtree of a, right? So if we have any binary search tree that starts with a and it is some permutation, then I need to add all the values from 1 to a minus 1 to the answer, because all these values will lie on the left subtree of our current binary search tree, right? And as we know, the root of binary search tree is the first element of the array, right? So for each permutation basically I need to add 1 to a minus 1 to the answer, sum of all these values to the answer. Now again let us look at this example and try to solve it using the observation we just made. So for the first element I need to add 1 to 1 minus 1, that is 0, to our answer. Since this range is invalid we don't need to add anything. For this again we don't need to add anything. For this one I need to add 1 to 1, or basically 1 to the answer. For this again I need to add 1 to the answer. For this I need to add all the values between 1 and 2. So I need to add basically 2 plus 1, 3 to the answer. For this one again I need to add 3 to the answer. So the answer of all these permutations will be 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1, and that is 8 again, right? So basically what we can observe here, if I know the root of some array, then I can calculate the answer for this array with a simple formula, right? What I need to do, I need to sum all the values from 1 to a minus 1 if that range is valid. Now the next thing that we need to notice is we are given all the elements from 1 to a, which is a permutation. Then let's say I fix the first element to x, then I have to choose rest of the a minus 1 elements, right? So that I can do in a minus 1 factorial ways, right? So if I fixed my x, I know that I can choose the rest of the elements in a minus 1 factorial ways. So that basically gives us the contribution of this element to the answer. Now for any element x, the sum of all the values from 1 to x minus 1, it will be x into x minus 1 by 2, and I'll multiply it with a minus 1 factorial, because I can have this permutation a minus 1 factorial times with x as the root element, right? Now let us talk about the code. So our formula was, we need to iterate from 1 to a, and for each number x, we are using this formula x into x minus 1 by 2, and we are multiplying it with a minus 1 factorial, right? So that is basically what we are doing here. But since we need the answer modulo some number, in this case 10 raised to power 9 plus 7, so instead of dividing by 2, I have already pre-calculated a mod in 2. It is basically the mod inverse of the current number. So instead of dividing by 2, I am basically multiplying by inverse of 2, or 2 raised to power minus 1. Now 2 raised to power minus 1 modulo 10 raised to power 9 plus 7 is stored in this number, right? So now whenever I need to divide, I'll just multiply by this mod in 2. And each time we also need a minus 1 factorial. So we are pre-computing a minus 1 here. Okay, so after pre-computing, what we'll do, we'll run a for loop from 1 to a, and we'll use our formula I into I minus 1. This is divided by 2, right? So that's why we are multiplying with the inverse of 2. And then we are multiplying that value with factorial a minus 1, and then we are taking the mod. And after that, we are just adding it to the answer, and then we are returning the answer. So it's quite straightforward. Now let us move on to the second problem. The second problem that we're going to talk about is max base pair, and the prerequisite to this problem is tries. You should know how the tries data structure work. So I'd highly recommend you to learn about tries first. Now the problem description is, you are given an integer array A. There's a function f for two integers x and y with another variable b base, right? Now for calculating the functional value, first convert x and y in base b, and then the ith bit of f x y b will be xi plus yi mod b. You have to return the maximum functional value possible for any pair of elements of array A in base b. Please note that you can take two elements for pair from the same index. Note, array elements are in base 10, and you have to return your answer also in base 10, calculated value from equation in base b. And the problem constraints are, A can vary from 1 to 10 raised to power 6, and each element of the array can vary from 2 to 10 raised to power 6, and the bases can vary from 2 to 9. Now let's talk about this problem with an example. Let's say we are given this example here. We are given an array of length 10, and we are given the base as 3. That means we need to first convert all these elements to base 3. So let's do that first. Now here I have converted each and every element to its base 3 representation. I need to find a pair whose sum is maximum base 3, right? And the sum that we are talking about it, let's say we are given two numbers. Let's say I choose this one 12 and 101. Then how do I need to sum them? I'll write them here 1 2 and 101. So what I'll do, I'll add these two, it will give me 3. I'll add these two, it will give me 1. I'll add this, it will give me 1. Now for each digit I need to again do a modulo by 3. So for 3, if I'll do it modulo 3, it will become 0. 1 modulo 3 will be 1, and 1 modulo 3 will be again 1. So the answer for adding 12 and 101 in this manner I am getting is 110. So that's how we need to add when we are talking about two pairs. Now we need to maximize the answer. right? In this example, we can see that if we take these two pairs, that is 100 and 101, and if I repeat the same procedure that I did here, that is 1 plus 0, that is 1, 0 plus 0 will be 0, 1 plus 1 will be 2. Now doing modulo by 3, it will remain 1, it will remain 0, it will remain 2. So I'll get 201 here. So for this specific case, 201 is the best we can do. Okay, so that's what we need to calculate for any array given to us. And if I convert 201 back to integer, it will be 19. So for this specific case, the answer to our problem is 19. So in this way, we need to solve this problem. Now let us talk about the solution to this problem with the same example. So basically, I have taken that same example. These elements here, they represent the value of 1 to 10 in base 3, right? So we have b equal to 3 here. So what we can do, basically we need to find any pair which can maximize our sum, right? So the first thing that I'll try to maximize is the most significant bit, right? Let's say we are given some number here, 2, 1 and 6. Now if I'll add 1 here, then I'll get 217. But if in the same number I am adding 1 here, I'll get 316, which is way bigger than 217. So basically the whole concept is, first off we'll try to maximize the most significant bit, and then we'll move on to maximize the second most significant bit, and in this manner we'll go from left to right. Now that we know we need to go from MSB to LSB, let's say we are at some number right now. Let's say it is 101. Let's say we are at last number right now. Then what I'll do, I'll try to find any number which can maximize it. Okay, so what is the maximum I can get at the most significant bit right now? The maximum value that I can make at most significant bit is b minus 1, right? That's what I can make. Currently we have 1 here. Then what is the value x that I will add to this most significant bit so that I can make b minus 1, right? That means I need to add b minus 1 minus 1. Okay, that is x, right? So the first thing that I'll try to search for is, do I have any number which is equivalent to b minus 1 minus 1, or basically b minus 2. Okay, so in our case b is 3, so 3 minus 2 is 1. Do I have any number in the third place which is 1? If we look closely into the array, we can see that we have one candidate here. Okay, the third digit of this number is 1, right? So we have just one candidate here, so we'll put 100 here. Why didn't we go further? Because we have only one candidate, right? But let's say we don't have one candidate now. Okay, let's take one more example here. Let's say we are given these 4 values which are in base 3 already, and we need to get the maximum pair I can have for each and every value, right? So let's say I want to maximize this 100. I want to find some pair that can maximize it. So what I'll do, I'll write 100 here. Then I'll go from the most significant bit. Okay, so what is the best I can make out of it? That is b minus 1 or 2. b minus 1 is equal to 2 here. Now what is the number I need to add to 1 which will make it 2? So obviously that number is 1, right? So I'll search for the candidates which have 1 on third place. The first candidate will be this one, second will be this one, third will be this one. All three satisfies the condition, right? Now let's move on to the second most significant bit, or this one. Now the second most significant bit is 0. Now again I'll do the same procedure. I'll try to maximize this 0. So what is the maximum I can get at this position? It is again 2, right? So I'll do the same calculation here. What is the value I can add to x that will make it 2? So I'll see that x equal to 2. So I'll try to find among all the candidates that I have selected, do we have any candidate which have 2 at its second place? So I'll see that I don't have any candidates, right? None of them have 2 at second place. Okay, fair enough. That means we cannot make our second digit equal to 2. Now since I cannot make 2, I'll try to make 1 at first digit, right? So what is the value I'll add to 0 so that I can make 1? So that is 1 obviously. Now I'll try to search for a number which has 1 at its second digit. Okay, now out of these 3 candidates I can see that this one and this one has 1 in its second position, right? Now this candidate is also neglected. So now we have two candidates which is maximizing my value currently, right? Since we have two candidates, let's move on to the last digit. Now again, I'll try to maximize my last digit. In order to maximize it, the best I can do is I'll try to make it 2 first. In order to make it 2, I'll try to find the number which have its last digit as 2, right? Now if I look at my candidates, these two, I don't have any of those values. So I cannot make 2. Now I'll try to make 1. Now again, I'll check which one of these have 1. So I'll see that my last candidate has 1, right? That means this guy can actually maximize my sum while I'm talking about this 100 value. So in this manner, we can solve this problem real quickly. But there is a catch. We need to find these candidates each time, right? For each digit, we need to iterate over all these candidates. But we can do it faster by using prefix trees or tries. So let's do that now. So basically, if we are given some array, what we'll do, we'll iterate from left to right. And let's say we are currently at this element, ith element. Then what we'll do, we'll try to build a try over all the previous elements, and I'll try to maximize my current element using the try I have built on the previous element. Now let us try to build try over these three values first. Let's say this is the root node of our try. Then the child at each level a try can have is b. Why? Because we can have values at any position between 0 to b minus 1. I'm going to insert this element first. So it has 1. So let's say this is 1. Then again 1. Then let's say this is again 1. Then 0. Let's say this is 0. Okay. Then I'm going to insert this value. Then it will be like 1. Here 1. Then again 1. Now another 1. Right. Now let's try to add this value. It is 1. Then it's a 0. Then it's a 1. Right. Now this is the try structure that I have built right here. Let's say currently I'm at this value. Then I need to find the optimal pair for it, right? So this is my value right now. So I'll start from MSB, that is 1. Now I will try to make it 2 first. Okay, so I'll search for a 1, and in our try we'll see that we have a node which corresponds to 1. So we'll iterate on that. We'll go there. We'll say okay, we are here now. Now from this node we'll try to check the second digit. Okay, what is our second digit? This is our second digit. We say that we need 2 here. Okay, so from this node I'll try to search for 2, and from this we can clearly see that we don't have any node which corresponds to 2, right? We have just two nodes. The first one corresponds to 1, the second one corresponds to 0. Okay, so we cannot make it 2. So now I'll try to make it 1. Now we can see that we have 1 here, so I'll go there. Okay, we can make 1. Okay, now that we are here, now I'll iterate on the last digit. So what is the best I can get at last digit? I'll try to make it 2. So I'll search for 2 here. I won't find any 2's, right? We have only two nodes, 0 and 1. So again, I cannot make 2 here as well. So I'll try to search for 1. Now we'll see that we have 1 here. So it will go in this direction. So what is the value that I got? I got 1, 1, 1. So again, I got the same pair 1, 1, 1, right? So in this manner, with the help of try data structure, we can do it efficiently. Now that we got the optimal pair for this element, so we can do it for each and every element of the array by iterating over elements from left to right. So that's how we can solve this problem. For better understanding, let's look at the pseudocode now. Now let us talk about the pseudocode. So let's start off with the solution function. So here is the solution function. We are given an array A and a base B, right? So basically, first we are converting each and every element of the array into its corresponding base B form, and then we are pushing that number to a vector named VEC. After that, we are creating a try node, which is basically the root node, and we are inserting one element. Why so? Because in order to get a pair, we at least need one element already inserted in try, right? After that, basically we are iterating from 1 to n minus 1 here, and what we are doing, we are searching for the best element before the current element which can pair up with our current element. So as we have done already in an example, for 100 this function will return 111. Okay, after that we are combining that and using another vector. So If we combine these two, I'll get 1, 1 plus 0, 1, 1, 1 plus 1, 2. And doing it modulo 3, I'll again get 1, 1, 2, right? So that's what is going to get stored inside this answer vector. After that, I am getting the current answer by converting this digit back to decimal or base 10. Okay. And after that, I am checking if this answer is the best answer, then I'll just insert it into the global answer variable, right? And after doing all these things, I am inserting our current element into the try data structure. Okay, so in this fashion, we can get the answer, and whatever we get at the end, that will be the maximum optimal answer we can get. Okay, after that, we are returning the answer. Now let us quickly see what these functions do. This first function, it converts a number to its base B form and returns a vector. Okay, and this function right here, it basically converts the given vector back to its base 10 decimal representation. Okay, and after that, we have the standard try node, and then we have an insert function. In order to understand these functions of tries, you need to understand how actually tries work. And in this function, we are basically iterating over the try and trying to find the best we can get for our current element. Okay, and this combine, the last function is this combine function. This basically do this operation. It basically adds up both of those vectors and then do the modulo thing. Okay, and then it returns the answer, which is again a vector. So that's pretty much it. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and do subscribe. Thank you for watching.